Welcome to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe, and I'm here with the co-host,
Gio.
CGO, or George. We're releasing this on the 10th of May, 2026. Quick reminder, please like us, subscribe us. We've released every single day. On YouTube, we release 20-minute videos. On Instagram and TikTok, we release shorter videos that split up content. So, in Saturday, in the world of football, a lot of big things happened. Richmond Kickers won an away game 3-0. Richmond Ivy, the women's team, won as well. And bigger news, in the EPL, we had a couple games. Liverpool drew Chelsea 1-1. Fulham lost to Bournemouth 1-0. Sunderland and Man United drew 0-0. Brighton beat Wolves 3-0. Manchester City beat Brentford 3-0. George, let's talk first. Liverpool, Chelsea. This game, Liverpool came out of the blocks flying. They, scored, I think, 6th-minute goal. Rio Ngomo passed it to Ryan Gravenberch. Pretty good goal. Chelsea scored a little bit later in the first half to equalize. Chelsea were probably the better team over the course of the last 80 minutes, but not so much better. I think 1-1 was fair based on some chances. Liverpool probably the best individual chance in the match on a Virgil van Dijk header that hit the crossbar. George, do you feel like 1-1 is fair based on the balance of the match?
It was an even game. First half, I think Chelsea were the better side, especially after even before they got the equalizer. You will notice they were mounting pressure, and fortunately for them, they were able to get the equalizer. And I know Cucurella had an opportunity, took a shot that the goalkeeper was able to stop. He even had another opportunity from a pass from Caicedo, which he chested, but the goalkeeper was able to get hold of it. And then I remember Enzo Fernandez also had a one-on-one with the goalkeeper, which he couldn't cover. So they were able to create chances. And in the second half was when I feel Liverpool created a reasonable amount of chances. Because if you look at the game, both sides had about 3 shots on goal. And then they both scored goals that were cancelled. Cole Palmer scored a goal in the second half that VAR overruled because they said it was, I think the VAR spotted that Cucurella being offside.
He was offside, yeah. Liverpool also had a goal ruled offside.
Yeah. And then we also had Liverpool also goal being counted as offside. I think Gapco was the one who was offside before these guys, I'm trying to remember his name now, Jones, scored that goal. So it was an even game. I think a draw was what was fair. But the honest truth is, if you watch, the Liverpool fans were not happy with the performance of Liverpool. Because
they were really mad at. They booed because Rio Ngomo got called off after 65 minutes. In my opinion, Slot is in a big predicament with Ngomo because he's a 17-year-old. I think he just, he was 16 at the start of the season. He cannot play 90 minutes every week. He certainly not every week. Probably not even once. I don't think he has all season. And they're booing him, and he needs to be taken off because his minutes needs managed at 17. And Slot, I don't know what he can do. Huh?
Well, Joe, there's a question I'd like to ask you. Do you take off a player because of his age or is not performing at that point in time? For me, it wasn't right for him to take him out because if you look at
Liverpool have a history of overplaying young players. 2 examples, Fowler and Owen. 2 players whose careers got destroyed by injuries in their late 20s because they were overplayed at the age Rio Ngomo is right now. Everybody watching Rio Ngomo sees the talent there. Everybody watching him knows that he can absolutely become that, or he could just be, just an overall good player. But I believe he can be top of the top of the top. But George, taking him off and managing his minutes, you cannot sacrifice the player's career for 2 points at Chelsea that are ultimately inconsequential for this season because Liverpool are going to qualify for Champions League. You just cannot sacrifice, in my opinion, an entire player's career. Young players won't go to Liverpool if they know their 18-year-olds can be mismanaged. It goes all the way up and down the line. Players can see the history of a club. I do not believe that you can sacrifice long-term for short-term here, George.
Well, the issue is that what happens with a player like Lamine Yamal, who plays for Barcelona, if that's the same method, the coach of Barcelona, Hansi Flick, is adopting when it comes to using Lamine Yamal. That means many of us will not get to see the best of Lamine Yamal today. What I feel,
Every individual is different, and for every Lamine Yamal, there's an Ansu Fati, who's a much more common. It's much more common for a player to be very promising at 16, 17, get overplayed, get hurt, and have a mediocre career, which is what happened to Ansu Fati, and it's happened to Gazillion. It almost happened to Dembele too, who had very promising career, lots of injuries, and then he's great again now, but it was unclear for a while that Dembele would fulfill his potential. I think that, George, it's great that sometimes that risk doesn't materialize in the sense of a player's career isn't destroyed. And Yamal, I'm still hopeful will have a long and fruitful career, and this amount of games won't impact him in his later 20s and early 30s. I really hope he can have a 15, 20-year career because he is an exceptional talent. But there's no, it's a risk, George. It doesn't always come back to bite you, but it generally does.
but do you know the story of the guy called Wayne Rooney when he was playing for Everton? He started playing at the age of 16, and it was like when he came and he became that revelation. At some point, he was the star man for Everton before
And he
Manchester
retired at
United.
30. He left Premier League at like 33 years old. There are players, he's been out of the Premier League for like 6 or 7 years. Modric is older than him. There's younger. Modric is older than him. He's playing in Italy. James Milner is older than him. He's playing in England still. Like, Ronaldo's older. He is playing in England. Like,
But Joe, Rooney had a very successful career when
Of
it comes
course.
to football. He had a very
Of course.
successful career. Nobody would ever counter that. He had a very successful career. Any player who has played up to his early 30s can decide to take a bow, which is fine. And it depends
George,
on individual preferences.
I mean, well, George, I will say that I think it's there's a lot of sports science that goes into this. There's a lot of mentality aspect that goes into this too. It's not just about what a player can deal with physically. It is about mentally, and some 16-year-olds are men mentally and can deal with that. Most are not. Most are kids. And the mental weight of playing 90 minutes week in, week out, needing to be on your game, never having get subbed out, is something that takes practice and gaining. And I don't know the insides of this. Liverpool is very heavy into sports science and really heavy into what a player can manage. And I'm pretty sure Slot is going off of basically exactly that in terms of older players, in terms of what their metrics are, but also the younger players. And George, I do believe that there's a sports science aspect to this, that you don't want to break young players, and there's a way to develop them, and there is a way to make sure you have a long-term career plan for every young player that involves managing their minutes when they're young. And I believe Slot is doing right by doing that with Ngoma.
So, but were you okay? Maybe we should just leave that issue now. But were you surprised with the performance of Chelsea today? Did you expect them to put up the kind of performance they put up in this game?
Yeah, they had a lot of life today. I was very impressed. I think that there was, several times where their timing was off on offside runs and things like that, but they looked dangerous. I mean, a lot of those were very close. In another day, one of those is right. Anfield is still a very difficult place to go to. I was quite impressed with Chelsea. And again, I mean, I feel like this was pretty exciting for a 1-1 game between two teams without a lot to play for the rest of the season.
Because when you consider the fact that the likes of Pedro Neto were not available, Garnacho were not available, I wasn't really expecting much because I was concerned about the wingers not being available for this game.
Esteval's out.
Cucurella really did so well operating from that position. It was a very big threat going forward in this game. So I was surprised with the way they played. I wasn't expecting much from them. I was thinking maybe they are going to lose another game, maybe make it the seventh straight loss in the Premier League. But at least it's good that they've ended that losing streak at this point, which is
George,
quite good. And it will be a motivation as they go ahead to play Manchester City in the FA Cup final next coming weekend.
George, there's a saying, nobody beats Chelsea 7 times in a row. So good for Chelsea for standing up and scoring a goal. That's their second goal scored since the last 2 months, and also getting a point. It's a big deal. They haven't won a point in 7 match days. So, all right, George, let's move on. I watched most of the Sunderland Man United match too. I watched most of this game. We'll end with talking Man City Brentford. But this is actually a really interesting match. I thought the best chance of the game probably fell to Man United at the end with Cunha. But
Yes.
I actually thought I had read a headline where Cunha had agreed to sit the rest of the season because Man United was guaranteed third place, but he did play today. I don't know what's going on with there. But Sunderland was the better team for most of this game. Sunderland I thought they did a great job just harassing Man United, getting their fans into the game, creating a bunch of chances. It's just the quality for finishing wasn't quite there. I think Manchester United is trying a bit too hard to get Bruno that assist record at the expense of results. There's a lot of times where I thought he was being a bit ambitious when maybe he wouldn't have done that before, or he feels the pressure now that there's not really much to play for Manchester United season. Again, they're pretty much guaranteed third place. George, was there a standout performer for you in this Manchester United Sunderland game?
Honestly, Manchester United did not really impress me that much in this game. If I'm being honest, they really performed below expectation because Sunderland had more chances in this game, even though we would say the chance that came to Matis Cunha was the best in the game. Sunderland had more chances. Sunderland had about 4 shots on target. Manchester United only had just 1. If you look at most of the statistics, you notice that Sunderland were the better side. It's just that unfortunately for them, they weren't clinical enough. If not, maybe they would have won the game. I wasn't really impressed with the way Manchester United play, probably because they already feel they've already secured the Champions League spot. That's the reason why maybe they didn't really put in so much energy in this game. I was not really impressed. Most of the players didn't live up to the expectation.
They're pretty much guaranteed third place. They would need to lose both like every game and have Aston Villa or Liverpool win every game. It is mathematically possible. They're pretty much guaranteed third. But it's interesting. George, we got to end the last couple minutes here on Man City versus Brentford. Now this game was 3-0. I think that the last goal, I think that 3-0 is a bit unfair to Brentford, just like previous weeks. I think it was a very back and forth game where, again, City took their chance or two and Brentford did not. The first goal was a fantastic goal by Jeremy Doku, a curler in the corner. He was giving Michael Coyote problems all day. I've always felt Coyote is weak defensively, and that Coyote performs best when he has Jordan Henderson on the pitch, because Henderson made a career out of covering for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Alexander-Arnold is such an elite talent defensively that he should go up and Henderson should cover, and that worked for Liverpool. They were very successful. Brentford have that same thing going on with Coyote. Coyote is so good going forward that Henderson covers for him very well. I feel like Jensen, Yarmouk are great midfielders, are still learning that defensive aspect, that discipline that Henderson has. But Doku really did a number on Coyote today. He was really struggling, and I think this is a ball that Doku tried to hit in, bounce back. Doku reacted first. He had a ton of space in the box and curled in the corner. Their second goal was a great effort goal by Holland. That he just had 2 bites to the apple. Was able to get the second one in on a pretty nifty thing there. And then the last one was towards the last minutes of the match. It was Omar Marmoush, a great finish. So it was a great game. Brentford had more chances too. I think we had a couple exceptional players. We changed out some. Aaron Hickey played in the midfield for us, which is new. George, was there a player from Manchester City that stood out for you as this player played great today?
Definitely, it is going to be Jeremy Doku, because if Jeremy Doku didn't score that first goal, I'm telling you, Manchester City would have really struggled in this game. It was that goal that brought life and brought belief to the team. Brentford were very good defensively from the first half. You see, they didn't give much space, even though Manchester City were able to create some space to shoot and do stuff like that. But there was no clear-cut chances like that because defensively they were very solid. Second half, the pressure was increasing, and the individual brilliance of Jeremy Doku played out. He scored a similar goal he scored against Everton. That goal he scored that gave them a draw in that match. He scored a similar goal in this game. So if not for him, I'm sure maybe the game would have probably ended in a draw, and that would have been a very big setback for Manchester City. So Doku was the player that made Manchester City to win this game.
It's
So I
impressive
must.
because, like last year, Liverpool, I think it was March or February, had a game where their whole game plan was like, let's let Doku cross it into the box. Like, we're going to man mark everybody else. We're going to one-on-one Doku, have him cross in the box. We don't believe in his end quality. And it worked. Like, Liverpool beat Man City. Man City last year were very different than Man City this year. Doku as a player has worked on that. Pep has worked on him. He's a very young player, very tenacious. I'm impressed by not only him, his skill, but also his tenacity. Like, I felt that goal. It was a cross into the box that Brentford blocked. Doku was the first to react to it, and he had a tremendous amount of space in the box, which helps in his curler in the box. But it was his tenacity that led to that more so than his skill, I think, because a lot of players given that much space could do what Doku did. It's finding that amount of space and having that time to set up, pick your spot, and curl it.
So one thing I'd like to tell you that I won't blame the Brentford defender Kayode in this game. The reason
Kade
why I
was
won't
not the
blame
fault of that goal, no.
the reason why Doku Michael Kayode is difficult for any right back to stop Doku because of the way he moves with the ball, his body movements very fast. So it's difficult because if you don't mark this guy with cautiousness, you can even cause a penalty. Such
Yeah, you
players
can.
are very dangerous. And if you watch the game against Everton, you see that most times when a right back is trying to mark Doku, there's somebody else again who is there to give support. Michael Kayode didn't really get that much support today. That was the
No,
reason why Doku was a very big threat, a big problem to the guy. So that was one area Brentford didn't really do very well
George,
to stop the guy.
quick question. There's an incident where Bernardo Silva elbowed hard, but not crazy hard. No, it wasn't that hard. Michael Collins in the leg. Should that have been a red card?
No. That would be very.
I
If a
agree.
red card is
agree.
given for such kind of stuff, then that would be very harsh. I don't think that was something that should warrant a red card. That would be very, very harsh if the referee had done that.
I agree. There's
Because
also an
yeah,
incident, George, where I think Thiago crossed it to Shada, who went down, and he went down, was pushed from behind, appeared from the defender, was not given. It was VAR reviewed quite tightly. No penalty given. I don't believe there's a penalty. Do you believe that was a penalty?
the reason why a penalty was not given for that, if you watch, Shade was already ahead of the ball. So he has already missed the ball already. So if he was, maybe the ball is in front of him, then a penalty would have been given. But he was behind the ball already. So I guess that was the reason why a penalty was not given. And if you consider the fact that the contact was a soft contact, I guess that was why VAR had to stick to the on-field decision by the referee. And we
I
also
agree.
have an incident before then where it was almost, I think there was a counter attack, and that was in the first half. I don't know if you remember, between him and Matthews Nunes. We had a similar scenario where if he was, let me say, we had a little contact with.
Nunez had a fantastic tackle. I think even every Brentford player was like, "Get up, dude!" Like that was a great tackle. Like you saw the replay, just fantastic tackle by Nunez. I don't think there's anything in that, and I don't think anybody who knows football has it.
No,
And
there were people who were saying that should have been a penalty and a red card. I mean, that would have been a red card for Matthews Nunes. I
there
said
were
no.
people who don't know football who think that should have been a penalty. I would say Shada frustrates me. I feel like there's times where he does that, and he has absolutely every chance at the ball, and he's going for the penalty, and it's frustrating. Dango Owatara, I think, has drawn a lot more penalties, and they're all legit this season in the league. Shada, as a player, has all the talent in the world, and is, I feel like, underwhelming in terms of it. But he's a young player. A lot of young players outgrow that. I'm excited to see his development going forward. George, I'm going to close out with their standard questions, George. Number one, like, what are your thoughts on young players being overplayed? Is that something that you kind of agree with the sports science side? Do you feel like it's kind of should be more case by case? And what are your thoughts? Number two, which player on Man City impressed you the most today? And number three, which player stood out to you on Manchester United versus Sunderland? Let us know your thoughts. Thank you for listening.